Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about astrology and a recent injury to renowned NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Some of you may have heard the sports, some NFL fans out there, that Aaron Rodgers, last night he had a injury to his far as whatever evaluation has been done up to this point, it's apparently some torn Achilles, at least is what is speculated on. Its MRI is pending, and if this is what it is, it could be an injury that will be sustained for the season. And I just want to talk about some whether it could be natal aspects and transits. Maybe more transits that may be related to this injury. And the thing about this is, first off, Aaron Rodgers, as many of you may know, was looked upon as to be the savior of the Jets this season, and they were going to at least make some, playoff run with him. That was the minimal expectations. Some people had even more grandiose expectations for him, such as going to the Super Bowl. But I'm realistic, pragmatic person. Many of you may know I have Taurus rising, like Aaron Rodgers, and I'm looking at this like, well, the Jets, looked like they could maybe make the playoffs this season with Aaron Rodgers. They came back from deaths of possible defeat. Last night they won a game miraculously over the Bills, so they show that they could still win some games without Aaron, but probably not as many as supposed to be with him. But anyway, well, the one thing that stands out, to me, as far as transit goes for Aaron Rodgers, well, it's a couple things. First off, I mean, Achilles is connected with Uranus, and he has transit Uranus in the first house of the physical body in stubborn, persistent Taurus, and it's something that might, that tells me that this is something that could be very, sustained and prolonged. They're speculating on this, but it does appear like that's what it's going to be. The transit could, confer that, I would say. What's interesting is that the transit Uranus and Taurus in the first house of the physical body is making at least a loose opposition to Aaron Rodgers' natal moon in Scorpio in the seventh house. Now, this shows me that you have the opposition with the Uranus, which is connected with the Achilles, and you're talking about the moon in Scorpio in the seventh house, which could manifest in really that emotional need for intense competition. Sometimes it could be extreme competition, but Aaron is not involved in that. But really, where he puts a lot of emotional intensity, and has certain power and control in being who he is. Moon in Scorpio could be very resilient too. He's about coming back from the depths of defeat. He has the sun in Sagittarius, which can show that want, that strong desire for sports, and then the moon in Scorpio being flavored with coming back from adversity, being able to come back, being down, the sign of resurrection, revival. Aaron Rodgers, I'm sure, has engineered a lot of fourth quarter comebacks where, showing resiliency, coming back from the depths of defeat, resurrecting like that phoenix rising from the ashes, and doing so being flavored with the Taurus ascendant, very calm, placid, more methodical fashion. The thing about this too, he also has at this point in time, and another thing that stood out is that Aaron Rodgers is currently in his Mars return, and it's in the sixth house of health and physical related, work related injuries. In transit, Mars is very close to his natal Mars. It may be a loose conjunction. Anyway, in Libra, now there wasn't anything, I don't think, injured Libra related, such as anything with the kidneys, the lower back, and endocrine system. But the thing about it is, it's still, I would say that it's not limited to something Libra related just because the transit and return is in the zodiac sign Libra. I mean, this could be sports, physical related injuries. Mars is connected with injuries, and I would say Mars also has a connection with sports as well. Now, another thing too is, when I look at this. as far as Aaron Rodgers and his injury. There's also, I mean, he has transit Jupiter in the first house. Now, Jupiter, is very, I've stated about this previously, and I'll say it again, Jupiter can be very paradoxical, strongly benign and benevolent, but it could also have the tendency to enlarge and expand. In this case, it may have enlarged and expanded physical related issues with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't believe he has anything going on severe that's Taurus related, such as something with the thyroid, neck, throat, esophagus, but at the same time, it could just be enlarging physical related matters in general. It could be a time now where there could also be a propensity for weight gain. If he's going to be in a situation where he's going to have to cast some fluid on that leg, ankle, that general area for some time, that could be a time where he may be limited in his activity, where weight could come on as a result. And the thing about Aaron Rodgers, what I noticed too, when you look at the transit with Uranus, it's also you could say it's making very loose in conjunct aspect with his Neptune. And that's in conjunction astrology can be about adjustments, and that could be an adjustment right there due to the injury associated with sleep and relaxation. He might be resting a lot more as a result of what has actually happened. And I want to just say, in case I don't say it in the video, that my prayers go out to Aaron Rodgers, because I hope that he does make a very really quick recovery as opposed to later, but it doesn't really look that auspicious. Even the coach of the Jets last night said that it did not look really good as far as the situation with Aaron Rodgers' injury, and the MRI should be coming up in the relatively near future. I would imagine it could be today when they perform it, because they want to get this prognosis on Aaron Rodgers sooner as opposed to actually having it later. Now, another thing to take note of, I noticed too that he's got the transit Pluto in his 10th house of career, and Pluto is connected transformation. It's also has a connection with surgery. And even though it's not, it's interesting, it's in Capricorn, but it's not far from Aquarius. So it's not surprising that at some point there may have been some trauma or possible surgery that could be Aquarius related, such as something with the Achilles. And he's got all those planets in the, he's got 5 planets in Sagittarius in that 8th house of surgery. So, those are indicators of possible sports related surgery. He has the ruler of the 8th house in the 8th house, so that could show that trauma, things that are traumatic, physically traumatic, could have a greater propensity of requiring more surgery, certain susceptibility to matters Sagittarius related, with the liver, sciatic nerve, or hips, thighs, things of that nature. So, but Aaron Rodgers does have the Mercury in Sagittarius, very, of course, his mind, his way of thinking is very positive, expansive, and upbeat, and that could be over matters, being in the 8th house, matters pertaining to surgery, but he also has to be careful not to be overly unrealistic and sticky with Neptune making a conjunction to his natal Mercury in his chart. But he has Jupiter in Sagittarius in its dignity, very good placement, which could be very fortuitous for sports-related activities, and being lucky by simply being, very optimistic, upbeat, expansive, and positive. But when I look at this, he's somebody that really, obviously likes to, is really strongly connected with competition. And I mean, and for him to be sidelined like this and out likely for a prolonged or protracted time period, I understand where this could be, very, very frustrating for him, to say the absolute least. So, He's going to show, I'm sure, strong Taurus rising powers of perseverance and get through this. And if he's out this season, I surely hope he will be back next season to do something, with the Jets and help revive, a floundering franchise. He also, what I noticed with Aaron Rodgers is that he has um, all of his planets are in the right half of the chart, which would indicate, being, more dependent as opposed to independent. I think with him, a lot of this manifests in just that need to do things with others that are team related, collaborating with others on projects and endeavors as opposed to doing things on his own. I'm sure he's likely very much, that team player. He's got 2 planets in the seventh house of competition, and I mean he's got one of the rulers of the seventh house, Cus Mars, in the sixth house of employment of work. So anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.